Okay, so you've heard quite a lot from myself and Clive. Let's hear from those already following a digital-first approach. James Rennie from Oakley and Rory Nussbaumer kindly talk to us about their experiences moving to a digital-first approach. I hope you find their experiences insightful.
So really what we wanted to do is evolve the report and accounts to be a document that's helpful to our investors, particularly around the retail shareholders, and to help them to understand the private equity sector in more detail, to understand the company in more detail. Report and accounts traditionally has been originally a printed document, then more online and interactive PDFs. But we really felt that with the evolving consumption of information, particularly through websites, retail investors are much more used to that sort of interaction. So really, that's what we were trying to achieve. Private equity has historically been, private, as the name may suggest, but somewhat opaque, I suppose, to investors. So really, we wanted to do everything we could to bring to life the sector, our underlying investments, our underlying performance. The other point was, we really feel that not that many people in reality are going to read a report and accounts cover to cover, or certainly not anymore, particularly in the retail shareholder category. So providing information in bite-sized chunks and able to navigate to what matters to them, that really was the key drivers of moving to fully digital.
I would say that the biggest drivers is we were looking at other options to understand how can we make our different types of stakeholders understand our data more seamlessly, with more synchronicity and more just general ease in regards to how they're understanding the information versus just producing a PDF where you're hitting Control Find to find specific items. You've got those frameworks in the back like GRI, SASB, all those many things that maybe different stakeholders are looking for across different corporates within your industry. And that's where Friend's new Reportal platform came into play for us as an opportunity to digitize our report by offering a little bit more ease of access for the data itself, which now allows us to both have more Google ability to our data itself, where you can search specific sections and you'll get those sections just by Googling the report versus just one large PDF. As well, within the report itself, the search functionalities within it allow us to search for a specific topic or a different stakeholder, a different topic, and it actually flags where those topics are being mentioned in a nice highlighted form. And there's also an opportunity for us to look at the data in more detail because of this itself. So it's offered quite a few different benefits, both visual benefits, both searchability benefits, and just the opportunities there are pretty endless outside of static PDF that we're traditionally used to utilizing.
I think, if I talk about the kind of the production piece, which I and my team are responsible for, really it's a lot more seamless than it used to be. So there's now one set of data, one input, and you make one change and that goes across all outputs. So whereas before, and we particularly feel this right at the end of the process, whereas before you try to finish everything a week before, you then need to flow it through to various different documents. Everyone needs to check between the documents. That we've moved on from. We know now you make one change and it goes through to everything. That's really taken a lot of pressure off the end of the process, but also, in reduced risks, better control. So the production piece is a lot easier, a lot more seamless than it used to be. I think the other bit that's really useful is the ability to see where people are interacting. So whereas before the analytics software would allow you to see how many people have clicked on the report and accounts only, now we can see which pages they click on, what they're interested in, how long they spend on each page, which allows us to focus on the areas that matter. I think, and then the other piece is it does feel very different. When we were producing our interactive PDFs, we were, very proud of them, and we still are proud of what we produced back then. But you really see the difference now that we've moved on to something that is digital first. It's miles in front of what we were doing before.
Before we were using an Adobe suite of tools to build out our PDF, And you think about the amount of time that it takes to make those incremental edits within the Adobe suite of different tools, the even just the time it takes to reopen the documents when you're editing them 100+ times over in the course of your overall disclosure building cycle itself. The Reportal platform allows us to log in fairly seamlessly. It's a fairly easy login process. Anyone can log in from anywhere. It's got nice security in regards to its authentication processes. But then the editing itself within it is very easy for us to do. We can make very easy tweaks to the text pieces and providing comments and whatnot back to the friend team in regards to any structural changes to the design itself is very easy as well. So I don't have an actual studied number on how much time we've saved, but I would say it's about 10 times more time efficient in regards to just the employee time compared to utilizing the other competitors out there, just because of the way that you can very quickly make tweaks to the data itself, both in regards to just narrative text as well as for quantified data. We now have a spreadsheet that holds most of our data points that are continuously changing as we go through our audit processes with our third-party auditors, that allows it to automatically update and repopulate some of the data points throughout our report that are being calculated or have duplicability across different sections of our report.
So if we talk about the board of Oakley Capital Investments have been super happy with where this has progressed. They've been part of that journey over the last 5 years or so, moving from a traditional printed report to an interactive PDF to something that's online and truly digital. So the board have been super happy with where we've got to. We've received excellent feedback internally across the business. Because more people have interacted with it than ever before. Back 5 years ago, people wouldn't be looking at a printed report in reality if they're in the investment team. Now they do. They click on the report, they can see some of the pages. And that's been recognised, externally over the last 3 or 4 years with a number of awards, each year for the production of the reports and the quality of the reporting. So, both internally and externally, excellent feedback. And anecdotally, quite a number of shareholders that we interact with have given excellent feedback as well. So all in all, certainly it's success from that perspective.
Yeah, I think they really appreciate the HTML view. One thing I really enjoy is when we're sharing out specific sections of the report to different audiences, be it an NGO or an investor, is we can guide them more directly to those statements within our report via actual URLs that are customized to the specific section of the report itself, just like a respective web page, basically. And that's been really helpful for them to further understand it, especially when we're talking about really complicated topics like our product sustainability that connects into some of our other goals, like our climate and biodiversity goals, as well as some of those risk and governance sections of the report that are located further back into the bottom of the report itself. And we're able to just help connect many different topics based on the specific questions that we're getting from these different types of stakeholders. So they do really appreciate this view versus us just handing them over a PDF and saying it's on this page, it's on this page, it's on this page. We can now give them links to each specific section. They can open up those specific sections and understand the text and the narrative and quantitative disclosures a little bit more easy.
Yeah, I touched on one part of it before, which is the end of the process. The end of the process, the week or so that used to be spent reconciling between documents is now a thing of the past. I think it's the confidence it gives them in terms of making one change and not having to remember to do it everywhere. The simple things, or what should be the simple things, such as page referencing and internal consistency, that's pretty much automated now. And there's certainly no added complexity. So it's only upside rather than downside. It feels an easier process than it used to be, and it's more. The software is easier to use than the prior iterations of report building software.
We get to have a little bit more fun with the design, I would say. We are starting to incorporate some really neat, more interactive elements into our reporting, especially for complicated topics that you need more visual to explain itself. A good example of that would be our overall journey in regards to our climate ambitions at Corteva, where we do have operational scope 1 and 2 goals, but we want to talk a little bit more about our overall product avoided emissions that we have due to our products moving towards smaller containers, having lower use rates, having products that do nitrogen optimization and nitrogen stabilization. Some of those phrases I just mentioned are hard to actually visualize and understand as a common reader to general sustainability reports. So what we've done in our latest impact report is we've actually visualized a few of these phrases to help the reader understand what does nitrogen stabilization, optimization, product use rate actually mean. And you can't really get that with a static report. So those visualization elements that we've incorporated into our report really help with understanding that message.
Again, I'd like to thank James and Rory for their insight. Just the number of thumbs up and hearts that we've been receiving as they were talking just shows how much that obviously resonates with all of you.